All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Be in the Know, Table Games and More. And tonight we're going to go to the more part of that. And our special guest is John Clark. John Clark is the Executive Director of Player Development for Stations Casinos, longtime friend. John, welcome to Be in the Know.
So good. Absolutely great to be here with you, brother. Thanks for having me on, by the way.
Oh, I couldn't, I thought about somebody who could really give me a perspective on what's been happening in the world of marketing. And usually, everything's that I talk about around table games, but, marketing is a big part of table games. So I couldn't think of anybody better to clue us in. So let me talk about John Clark. I see you got the BS from, I don't know if that stands for BS, but anyway, a BS from University of Las Vegas, Nevada for hotel administration. And then you started
rebel through and through.
So you started in the casino business basically with a station group to begin with, right?
I had done, while I was still at UNLV, I did an internship at MGM at the front desk and hotel for the summer of '97. And I can't believe it's been that long. With Boulder Station at that time, I think that was the newest thing that they had. I don't think Sunset had even opened yet. And I was at the front desk and got to know some of the marketing people and the casino marketing people. And Stephanie Johnson is her name, and I still stay in contact with her, one of the best people on the planet, and asked me if I wanted to try the casino host thing. And I said, yeah, we'll give this a shot. And, I think all of us in casino marketing, hosting any of those pieces we always say that, the job kind of finds you. You don't really find the job. It just kind of happens that way. And went to work with the host department and did that for a couple of years before coming over to see you guys over at the Hard Rock in 2000.
Well, hosting, you either got it or you don't. I mean, there's no in between with that. Either you can communicate with the guest or, you don't, and usually you don't last very long. And you look how long you've lasted, John. I mean, it's just incredible. So you come over to the Hard Rock, right? We both got to the Hard Rock around the same time in 2000. You lasted a few more years than I did at the Hard Rock Las Vegas, but hey, I'm back at the Hard Rock, man. Hard Rock Cincinnati, and I work for the HRI. And when I got the opportunity to rejoin the Hard Rock organization, I grabbed it. But anyway, so now you moved to the Hard Rock. You're a casino host. Tell me about the early days.
Oh, dear God!
Wild place, wasn't it?
It was probably some of the most fun I have ever had in my career. Just an amazing environment. Peter Morton is an owner. We couldn't have asked for a better person to own the property, to turn us loose. He just had such a crazy sense of what was sexy, of what was hip, of what was cool. And, it was so organic at the Hard Rock. It so quickly became the spot. If you're young, if any sort of sports figures, celebrities, any of those pieces, the Hard Rock very quickly became the absolute spot to be. And again, it was very organic. We didn't run around pounding our chest telling everybody how hip and cool we were. It just happened. And obviously with that environment, we were catching the dot-com boom. I think at the time, if you were young, if you were in your 20s, maybe early 30s, and you wanted to come to Vegas and have a good time, the Hard Rock was the absolute incredible spot. And just business that we had, walking through the story a few times. I can't remember for the life of me what New Year's Eve it was, because I think it might have happened a couple of times. But we actually, on the New Year's Eve, shut the doors. Yeah. We actually shut the doors. Remember, we had security up front. If you weren't staying in the hotel,
couldn't get in
with a room key, you couldn't come in. And when you kind of step back for a minute and think about that, right? When you've got a property that you're so damn full, on an event like that you can't fit any more bodies in, it's an amazing problem to have. We did the nightclubs, whether it was Babies and then the transition to Body English, which was incredible. And again, that was the first thing. That was the first thing in Vegas, the first time you ever had a nightclub in a casino. The rehab pool party was, in its infancy in those first few years, was just the damnedest thing you've ever seen. Again, Memorial Day weekend. I could remember a number of Memorial Day weekends where, again, we'd shut the door to the pool. You couldn't get out to rehab, and we'd still probably have 5, 6, 7,000 people inside the casino trying to get out there. It was truly, we call lightning in a bottle.
I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to blow your mind. Next year will be the 50th anniversary of the Hard Rock with Peter Morton and his partner opening up the first cafe. And
wow.
What you say couldn't be more true. And I tell people about this. I get to go to our orientation, which is the School of Hard Rock, and I tell them about these times. And I said, this was the best 12 years of my work life was at the Hard Rock Las Vegas. I said, everybody loved everybody. I said, it was the first place ever, the management loved the employees loved the guests loved the employees. It was the coolest thing to be a part of. And it was amazing. And someday one of us is going to write a book about the experiences, because there's so.
Yes, that is true. I tell you this, as we were reminiscing about some old names, Tony D and Bernstein and Michael Bernstein, numerous times when we'd be sitting back in the office, we'd come up with an insane situation. And that was always a tagline, right? And it's funny because you tell these stories to people, and they don't sound real, right? Like they don't sound true. It's just the crazy stuff. I remember in Super Bowl Sunday, that evening, after maybe a couple of adult beverages, I actually ended up with Vern Troyer, God rest him, on my shoulders. And again, it just kind of happens, and you run around and crazy stuff occurs, but we just couldn't, you know what I mean? It was just some of the most fun, enjoyable, we worked hard and we played hard. And, the love all, serve all motto was true. It was real. It really was. It wasn't, marketing BS. We really did love each other. We were a family. And I think more than any other company that I've been exposed to, I mean, the Hard Rock truly was a family. And it started at the top. It started with Peter. I mean, he truly loved us, and you feel it, and he cared.
And Peter didn't care how much you knew about a certain part of a job. If you didn't have the personality, you weren't getting the job. That's just wasn't cut and dry. Yeah. And it was amazing. I mean, I remember the one cocktail waitress. I think she had a brain aneurysm or some crazy thing. And Peter flew her to Cedars-Sinai or wherever, picked up the bill and all this. And that's just the way, then that just spilled over to everybody. Anytime there was anybody with a problem, everybody wanted to pitch in. I remember the craziest thing is when I told the dealer body and the people that, my wife was pregnant, and I got to the office one day and the whole shift off was just filled. I had to make 2 trips in my pickup to get all this baby stuff back home. And that's just the love. And I mean, I'm just a normal guy, and I'm like, holy God, what is going on here, man? I mean, I'm somewhere, and it's just crazy. So tell me about some of the guys you work with. Let's talk about whale hunting, and let's talk about Steve Steer.
Oh man, Steve Steer, and from the bottom of my heart, probably one of my favorite people, that I've had the pleasure of working with over the years. Steve is the absolute epitome of a host. And the funny part about it is that, the whale hunt in the desert and his brand, I guess, if for lack of a better term, right, the Steve Steer brand, as it's picked up steam and it's rolled, he plays into it perfectly. And the one thing about it is you can go a couple different ways. I mean, for me, look, I'm a big jovial guy. There's no BS with me. What you see is what you get. that served me well, over the last 20 something years of doing this. My players are genuinely my friends. We travel together, we do stuff, and with Steve, and it's not to say, because Steve is genuinely one of the nicest people on the planet. Like he's a good dude. He's got a beautiful heart, a good soul, but he plays that role. You know what I mean? And it works, and it works really, really well. When people aren't really exposed to it and they think of the Las Vegas casino host and maybe they've only seen TV shows and that kind of a thing. That's Steve Sear. That is in the flesh. That is what he's all about. But yeah, he's still doing his thing. He's still doing fantastic. Every time I turn around, there's another article or a mention or a TV spot. I mean, he has definitely harnessed the brand and let it run. That's for certain.
And another guy you're going to be very familiar with is Richie Wilk. I mean, he's still going strong. He's got him.
Absolutely.
He's got him a YouTube channel.
Still,
he's what he's done down there at the D
yes.
In conjunction with Derek has been amazing. And tell me about a little bit of time with Richie Wilk.
Yeah, another just a good dude, a solid guy, Canadian, proud Canadian, I would add. The same thing, the relationships, everything that we do, whether it's taking care of somebody, whether they be a celebrity, a sports figure, a player, that kind of a thing. Obviously, your orbit kind of expands. The more people that you deal with, the more time you spend in the business, your orbit starts to expand. And I think all of us that spend time at the Hard Rock ended up with celebrity or sport clientele. It happens. I still take care of Joe Thornton and all the guys with the Sharks, and they've always been good friends. And with Richard's orbit, it expanded and expanded, and on the celebrity end, it exploded. And he's harnessed that incredibly well as well. And you're right. You couldn't ask for a better guy to work with. Derek Stevens down there, a guy that truly gets it. Anytime I ever met him at the Hard Rock, always just such a good guy. But yeah, being able to create that type of environment and bring players like that and celebrities like that downtown, which might not be the easiest thing to do. He's done exceptionally well with it. Yeah, the same thing almost, in the book and the TV. Yeah, it's great. I couldn't be happier for him. I wish those guys all the success in the world.
Well, I think him and Stevens feed very well off each other. That's a very key to that relation. And I'll never forget, God rest his soul, Owen Choi, who was Derek's host, I believe. Yes. I remember Derek coming up one night. I was told this on another Be in the Know that Derek comes up and says, "Hey, I just bought a casino." And I'm like, "Yeah, and I'm taking a trip to the moon next week." I mean, I didn't really have an idea, how many people come up and tell you they bought a casino or whatever. Right. Yeah, okay, well, good for you. But Derek really had done it. So couple other good guys I want to talk about. Tony D'Ambrosio. I mean, you guys, I think you were fairly close at the time. Tony was kind of a wild man, no?
Absolutely. Yeah, he definitely. He's married now with a couple of children, to a wonderful, wonderful wife and a couple of beautiful, beautiful children. A little girl and a boy. He's got a match set as well, like I do. So I will tread carefully on some of the early days, but he was. We've got some great stories. We've got some great times.
This is PG here.
It's funny, and as I'm sitting here thinking, and again, the mention of Owen Choi, God rest him, another one of the originals with us. I think Owen started about a month or two after I did. Tony was right there behind us. And we were talking about, we'll get to Michael Bernstein in a minute, but Bernstein was there as well. I think that was kind of the core group for a lot of years there. But Owen, God bless. I mean, just one of the nicest, sweetest individuals, just a good dude. That was a heartbreaking loss for all of us to lose him. But yeah, Tony's still Las Vegas. He stayed on. continuing the legacy through as they transition. Curious to see how that's going to turn out, what it looks like. I mean, you got a hell of a brand behind you and a lot of money, so we'll see how that ends up. But same thing, Kev. In fact, I just had dinner with Tony and Michael. God, I want to say early this year, right before the shutdown, we got a chance to catch up and see each other. And
Oh, that's great.
I mean, it's you know, you spend time like that in the business. It's you're going to be friends with them forever.
I'm glad he got married and settled down before he killed himself. Okay, now let's talk about the silent killer. It's what I'd call Michael Bernstein, the silent killer. Because this guy, so I'm telling you what, and I'm not bullshitting you this, but, you know, I'm going to say this, and I don't know if you can say bullshit on a YouTube, but I just said it. You know, I've never seen such a strong, and I don't even think you guys knew that you were a strong marketing crew, a host team that assembled together as these four people and yourself. And then we come to the final part of the what a five-finger death punch, and that's Michael Bernstein. And I think Michael Bernstein was just the amazing host, although he didn't have a player that lost. That's why I said, Michael, are you ever going to bring a player that loses? But anyway, he was an amazing host, and he did it without ever raising his voice.
Yes. You know, the thing with Bernstein, too, is, you know, he came, I think he was married before he got to the Hard Rock. So he was one of the few in our group that at the time was married, and all of us were running around being a little crazy. He was the first one to have a child. And, you know, the thing I always respected with Bernie was as good as he was. I mean, you know, Michael Bernstein is an absolute world-class host, solid guy, incredibly knowledgeable. But, you know, to see him in that father role for us, it was good. You know what I mean? It was kind of something for us to look up to and something for us to aspire to.
He was a rock.
In the middle of all that craziness for it.
He was a rock at the Rock.
Yeah. You know, for a guy to be a father and to be a husband when, yeah, I mean, there's a lot, they're coming to me as I'm sitting here and chuckling all the crazy stuff we used to do. But yeah.
Think about all the debauchery. And, you know, I always tell people this story. I said, you know, my first day at the Hard Rock, they put me up in Pit 5, which was up by where the Altar Bar used to be. It wasn't called the Altar Bar when I got there, but
okay.
Anyway,
yeah, by that time they'd switched it over with the Red Hot Chili Peppers movie.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what it was called. But anyway, I'm standing up there in Pit 5, and I'm looking down on the center bar about probably 2:30, 2:45 in the morning, and I'm thinking this has got to be what Moses seen when he came off the mountain. And all the debauchery and all that stuff was going on. I said, this is exactly the scene he's seen, except now it's, you know, in the year 2000. And I was just blown away, you know. And I was lucky, you know, I was scheduled 10 to 6. And if I was lucky if I got out of there at 8 in the morning. You know, the Red Bull and the vodka and the hookers. And oh my God, you know, I'm like, I just want to go home. But it was an amazing time. And like you said, for Bernie to be a rock through all that for you guys and show that stability was just amazing family, man. And
you know,
good dude.
I mean, I say it again, we caught lightning in a bottle, and it's been tried to be duplicated at other places in town, and it never will. That true, that real. It was incredible. I mean, it was one of those things, and I'm sure you probably felt the same way. I mean, you'd be walking around the property or whatever it was, you're like, man, I'm getting paid to do this. This is really cool. This is a hell of an opportunity. It really is. I mean, it incredibly blessed. I can't tell you how incredibly blessed I felt to have that experience, to have those 15 years over there, and, you know, to meet amazing people. But yeah, you'd be in a situation where shit would just happen, and, you know, you're sitting in a booth And I got Rob Schneider on one side and Adam Sandler on the other, and you just kind of laugh at yourself, like, what? I get paid to do this. This is really cool.
So a lot of rumors out there of a second coming, John. Do you think it can happen twice? Can it happen again and happen on the Strip?
I think we'd be. I think obvious, and I think for those of us that had been around, we knew that, right? We knew the exclusive deal that Peter had signed with the rights to the name in Vegas, as long as there was an existing Hard Rock, and with this one obviously changing, there's a hell of an opportunity. I think you've got a company with a lot of money behind it. I think they'd be stupid not to jump into the Vegas market. Granted, that conversation that we're having right now in January is obviously a very different conversation that we're having today. I mean, post COVID. But if you take the craziness out of it, I think you look at it face value. I think it makes sense for them to have a Las Vegas presence. They prove themselves to be really good operators. So the question is just what property, what's the price, and what they're going to do. But I would be shocked if we didn't see a Hard Rock presence re-entering Vegas in the next, let's call it 5 years.
Yeah, I think you're probably pretty right about that. And yeah, we'll see. It's yet to be seen whether the Magic can strike twice, but I would hope so. I would hope so. I didn't want to make this whole about a biblical presentation about the Hard Rock Las Vegas, but you know what? It is what it is. So let's move on to Stations Casino. So now you leave the Hard Rock and you get an opportunity to move forward in the Stations casinos operators.
Yep. And
how's that been?
Coming back to a great company. It's funny. The guy leading the charge now, Bob Finch, was my GM at Boulder Station when I originally broke into the business, and one of my favorite people I ever worked for. A guy I respect, a guy I love the hell out of, and it's cool. In fact, we reached out as soon as I joined the company. I think almost 5.5 years ago. He had reached out and we were talking, and good people. Again, another company of good people. Frank Lorenzo, more highly of. Again, owners that care, and I think that is owned by people that care. That it's not a board of directors. It's not. Granted, we are a public company, but obviously they're the majority shareholders, and they're still calling the shots, and they care. They really do, and they know this market better than anybody. I'll put us up against, and no disrespect to the other companies out there, but I mean, Stations is the 600-pound gorilla when it comes to the local market. They know it better than anybody. They do it better than anybody, and that was the opportunity for me to join the company. Was trying to go after that out of town, higher end table games play that they'd kind of gotten away from for a number of years before I got back into the company. So I'd bounced between Green Valley and Red Rock. Was very blessed to find some early success. When I spent 15 years at the Hard Rock, there's the relationships that I built with these guys. A lot of my players, we grew up together. We met in our 20s and we're now in our 40s. And, we've been through marriages and we've been through kids and we've been through divorces. And, it goes so much deeper than, oh, hey, I'm going to give you this deal and this is what we're going to do and this kind of thing. I mean, these guys are genuinely my friends and I do care about them immensely. So being able to find that success at Red Rock and at Green Valley Ranch has been great. And then incredibly blessed with us buying Palms, which obviously fit my skill set very well from coming from Hard Rock. So I went over there about 2 years ago to kind of hire some pieces for the player development team over there. The renovations that took place over there are nothing short of spectacular. The property is absolutely gorgeous. The suites are amazing. The food product, the restaurants are incredible. And it's no trade secrets. Obviously us, hesitating to get it open back again is us just kind of standing back looking at the Strip, knowing that as the Strip goes, so will the Palms go. And again, we're incredibly blessed to have a hell of a local presence. And that's been great. You know, we opened the doors, what was it, that June 6th at midnight. I was up here at Red Rock, and we had a line at every entrance, a solid line at every entrance of people, you know, getting through, coming into the building. So that's just been incredible for us. And then, you know, falling to myself and those of us on that kind of out of town PD team is trying to fill as best we can, you know, that out of town player piece. But yeah, I mean, it's not a knock on the Palms. Palms is an incredible property. Now it's just knowing that the Strip's having a really hard time right now.
Well, you know,
and I'm sure we'll probably hit those topics here in a minute.
well, Stations didn't win, you know, top employer all them years because they don't take care of people, and they're not a really good employer. And they've really got a great handle on the locals market. And, you know, that brings me to, you know, this whole thing with COVID-19 and the Las Vegas Strip. You know, I had said in an early broadcast that, you know, Las Vegas being a resort destination that's dependent on conventions and international flights would struggle to come back because then now you've got to deal with what made you strong in the first place is that California in and out traffic, and the value for them wasn't there, you know, with the resort fees and the 65 games and that. And
paying for parking.
Yeah, we pay for parking. So we'd have to change our model to prosper in the interim until we can get all that stuff back that we had before. And when you talk about the Palms and we talk about Cromwell, you're talking about two properties that are really club and day club and club driven. And without that element, it's a smart move to leave them shuttered. It really is. It's great. I mean, especially you look at Dre's and the Cromwell, they got no chance, nothing. They have no revenue source without them two things going. So with that said, you know, let's talk about that, you know, and life in Vegas right now.
You know, so that's, you know, it's a great point as well when you look at the Palms. And, you know, for us, Red Rock, and again, just by the nature of the space, you know, Palms had convention space, not a ton of it, comparatively speaking, let's say Red Rock and GVR. And surprisingly enough, Red Rock and Green Valley Ranch both did a huge convention and sales business. You know, which was fantastic. And obviously we're navigating our way through that. But the Palms with the concert venue, which again is a huge driver. And I think we didn't even talk about what the Hard Rock. I mean, you know, the other beautiful thing with the Hard Rock is you had, whether it was the old joint at 2,500 seats, the new joint at 5,000, you know, over the years, I mean, we the Who, the Eagles, the Rolling Stones, anybody who was anybody came through and played those joints, no pun intended, you know, played the venues. And that was such a huge driver for us, you know, on the casino side, where, you know, when the Stones played, I think we only sold, God, don't quote me on it, but, you know, maybe 300-400 tickets to the public, and the rest were reserved for casino. And that was a huge piece for us. Same thing at the Palms, obviously, is looking at that business model and understanding that the concerts are going to be a drive. You're seeing at Cosmo, obviously, Shoot Over Park with the theater over there. You know, these huge acts in a very small venue, and we know that that's gone for a while. For how long, I don't know. But those two pieces, you've got the convention and you've got shows, whether it's concerts like that or whether it's 4 shows at any of the other Strip properties. You know, that's gone, which is tough. You don't have that, you know, that driver. You know, it's out of town. Obviously, has been tough. Guys jumping on planes. I'm seeing a lot more guys traveling, you know, private, whether it be through Jet Suite X or Wheels Up or one of those. Just trying to get away from the BS and the hassle of jumping on an airplane. Obviously, we're seeing California, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, any of those private markets are big for us right now. A lot of people coming in from California. I've been over on the Strip a number of times in the last, let's call it 3-4 months. And granted, I will say in full disclosure, it was midweek, but just not a lot of traffic down there, not a lot of foot traffic, not a lot of bodies. And I think what we're seeing too, I'm sure you've probably seen some of the videos of the fights and that type of thing happening down there on the Strip. And I think what we're in right now is a tough situation where, and again, for us up here at Red Rock, Green Valley, more resort-oriented properties, we've got smaller hotels, and we've been doing very, very well. And I think, another one of the pluses that people kind of feel a little bit up here, kind of away from the madness on the Strip, and is fully a byproduct of lowering hotel rates. And I think if you've got a property with 4,000 hotel rooms, and even shutting floors down and shutting pieces of the tower down, still a shit ton of it's a lot of product to sell. It's a lot of inventory to sell. So you're lowering those rates, and when you lower those rates, you sometimes end up with a rough crowd coming through the hotel, and it leads to those other problems that we're seeing.
Well, they definitely got to get a handle on that, because that's one thing you could always depend on in Las Vegas was, you could go there and no matter what was going on anywhere else, you were kind of oblivious to any kind of incident, especially on the Strip. No shootings on the Strip, no nothing like that until you got to set aside what happened a couple years ago at Mandalay Bay. That's a whole different story. Could happen anywhere.
Sure.
I'm just talking about random somebody coming up and shooting you, or that didn't happen on the Strip. It was never heard of. So they got to get a handle on that. But let me ask you one as we get near the end here. What about how do we market now? I mean, are we going crazy like we did after the housing boom and throwing promo chips at people in Las Vegas, or how are we structuring the reinvestment? What's the strategy?
No, I think, and it all kind of flows together. I think when you're looking at safety protocols, I think there's a value to safety. I think there's a value to, as a customer, as a gambler going out, and whether you're playing slots, and again on the local side, then you're coming out. We spent a lot of money with this company to invest in some technology like the full body temperature scanners and that type of thing, and even covering me as an employee coming into work every day. From the bottom of my heart, I truly feel safe coming in here. You walk through the door, your temperature's taken. You put a mask on. Our IM department, I cannot thank them enough or speak more highly of them, cleaning and sanitizing everything. We obviously have reduced capacity, but we pulled one chair from every slot bank in between. Had to find a place for a lot of chairs. So spacing people out, but I think walking into a place with those safety protocols, looking around and seeing the level of cleanliness and safety that's being put into it, I think there's a value to that. Honestly, like I think we kind of start there. I think that in itself is a marketable property. I think that in itself is something that somebody's going to walk in and say, "Hey, this is great. I feel safe here," and that kind of thing. Dealing obviously with reduced business levels, it's tough. You don't want to get into a situation where you're throwing promos at players. I think you have to be a lot more strategic with it. As we've looked at it on the local side for this company, we're obviously looking for pockets of opportunity for guests we haven't seen in a while. Obviously with some of the properties, the Fiestas, Texas, looking at some of, those players and seeing where we can get them, can we get them to move to another one of our properties that's open and that kind of a thing. Again, we've been seeing a lot of lift from the local side. The question is for how long? Obviously, as we don't have any other industry here in town, right? I mean, we know this. We don't build anything. We're completely gaming and tourism dependent. So I think all of us are just kind of holding on for as long as we can till we can kind of get some sense of normalcy back. I think after the election will be another big piece as well. I think we got a lot of uncertainty right now. But I think it's just more laser focused. I mean, on our side, it's been, utilizing and leveraging those relationships that we've had for as long as we've had, kind of a, hey man, come on out, come see us, we kind of need you. And I tell you, I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me, and to everybody else here in the office, these people that we know, asking us how we're doing. How is Vegas doing? How is everything? And people are genuinely, they care and they're concerned. And, we saw it, especially a property, whether it's the Palms or whether it's hard a property, you know everybody, whether it's, it's a new world. And I hate the term, but the new normal.
Yeah.
You got to focus on that, that 80-20, right? Where 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of the players. It couldn't be more true now, and again, I would say as well, what I've been very blessed in my career is, I would say 100% of my player base is domestic, whether it was Hard Rock or here with Stations. Although we have put some pieces in place to go after more international business, very, very blessed that most of mine is domestic. That's another piece that some of the other properties, whether it be an MGM or a Wynn or a Venetian, that does have a big international player base that constitutes a lot of the revenue. That's tough. That's tough right now because you're not seeing flights. You're not seeing flights from a number of countries. It's tougher for people to get funds out of the countries and that type of thing. So, we're blessed to at least be in a situation where a lot more of it's coming domestically. But yeah, that's another issue that probably a topic for another day, and another
show,
another conversation on those.
So yeah. There's so many Vegas vloggers that are just killing it. There's just so much interest in what's going on in Las Vegas now. There must be 10 or 15 of them that have 40, 50, 60,000 subscribers. So the interest is there, John. And when things clear up, they'll come back. Just to look at Allegiant Stadium last night, what a beautiful facility. And, the Raiders are kicking some butt right now. And, the Knights are fabulous. And anybody that hasn't been to a Knights game hasn't went to hockey game because nobody does it like Las Vegas. And that'll come back.
It is.
And
absolutely. Been a hockey fan my whole life.
Yeah.
Season ticket holder with the Knights and the Raiders. I was very bummed I wasn't in my seats last night. But I've been to a lot of hockey games all across the country, and there's nothing like a Knights game. It is the best place to go see a game, and that's been a fantastic piece for us as well. Is so many people coming from out of town that are basing their trip, whether they're coming from Toronto or they're coming from Buffalo or they're coming out to see the team and making a few day stay of it, and it's been great. And what's been really cool to see from the fan base is very rarely have I seen anything that's gotten rough or we'll jaw at each other because you go to a Knights game and it's half and half, if not 60% opposing fans. Yeah. And in a lot of stadiums you can go to that could get a little sideways, but it's always a good fun. It's always a good time, and it's been great for the city.
It's always classy. And you know what? I'll tell you, John, I really I think you're at the right place, the right time. Stations is a great organization. I'm not one, let me tell you, if you watched any of the webcasts or anything I've done for anybody else, I don't pull no punches. And if somebody's doing a bad job, I'm not afraid to call them out. But Stations has done a really good job on the safe and sound protocols. And that's like one thing I'm very proud of my Hard Rock International. We were the first ones to say, hey, if you don't wear a mask, you're not coming in the proproperties. Every property at Hard Rock. Absolutely. First one to stick to it. And now everybody's, on that bandwagon. We were the first one to put plexiglass up. Yeah. It means a lot. Now the guests know that we really care. We weren't so much worried about profits, whether we know we have them relationships and we got to hold on to them. Another key thing with Las Vegas is people are flocking from California in groves to Las Vegas. So this local business is going to remain strong and probably support all the Stations properties. I think they made some good, wise decisions on the ones to keep down that just really couldn't be profitable right now. But the rest of the facilities, Green Valley, Red Rock, Palace, you guys are just you're going to continue to prosper. And then when things, we get a vaccine and things open up again, life will, you guys will be so far ahead of the curve, So kudos to the organization, and kudos to you, John. It's been a great conversation, and man, I really appreciate you coming on. You got any last words for the viewers out there?
I'd say Vegas loved it. Vegas misses you. We appreciate the love. Now come see us. We're still here. Love to have you. And Benny, thanks for having me on, man. I'd say it's been so much fun just catching up with you. Trip down memory lane. It's been a good time.
Well, thank you, John. And I'm sorry if we had a little bit of technical difficulties with this feed, but most of it was really, really good. And folks, if you're into the Red Rock or stations, you got to look up John. He's the man. He should be your host. I'm just telling you that. And you know what? We could have told the Coco story, but I don't think it would have worked here in a PG format. But it was a very good story. And if you ever see John out in stations, ask him about the Coco. It's one of the greatest Las Vegas stories you're ever going to hear. And me and him lived it live and in person at the Hard Rock. That's it for now. Thanks so much. Make sure you subscribe. The button's down here somewhere. And we'll be seeing you on the next Be in the Know.